So I've been doing this for so long, I already know the arguments I'm going to get. For schools, guns on campus is a bad idea. It's just too dangerous. Okay, do you have an SRO? Yeah. Does he or she carry a gun? Well, yeah, of course. So guns aren't a bad thing. It's just a matter of who's got the gun. So you don't want guns on campus. Who are you going to call if an active shooter shows up? Somebody with a gun. So I know, everybody knows when an active shooter shows up, the best way to stop him is somebody with a gun. If he's not here, if the good person that's going to stop him with a gun isn't here, he's 5, 8, 12 minutes away, and that's going to be a high body count. It's all about time and math. If you don't have anybody here with a gun, then you have two alternatives. Fight him unarmed, which is what you got to do, or watch him get a high body count. School employees don't have police training. Well, they don't need police training. We just had another Eli Dickin in Indiana, a 22-year-old guy with no military experience, no law enforcement experience, and no formal professional gun training. His granddad taught him how to shoot a handgun when he was little, happened to be at the mall when it started, stopped it in 15 seconds. And counter that with the Parkland school resource officer had over 30 years of law enforcement experience and training, and that didn't really help out much because he wasn't there when it started, and then he didn't go in. Arming teachers is a stupid idea. That's the terminology that they get away with using. And actually, I'm not talking about just teachers. I'm talking about custodians, cafeteria workers, counselors, anybody, not just teachers. And we're not arming them. We're just going to stop disarming them. We're not giving them a gun. We're just going to stop telling them they can't bring the gun they carry everywhere else onto campus. You shouldn't burden teachers with this additional task. And this is where the fact that I taught school helps me. Yeah, you're not burdening them if they're volunteers, and teachers are too busy. They got too much to do, and they do up until the first shot's fired. They're not teaching anymore. Everybody's job is the same once the first shot fired, and that's saving lives. And there's no better way to do that than stopping the active shooter. And then armed staff will get shot by responding police. That's the one they always say. It's extremely unlikely mathematically, because if you stop it in the first 30 seconds, you'll be on your third cigarette by the time the first cop shows up. That's not an insult to the cop. That's an insult to the system which brings the cop to us. Go ahead. And that's what I get. No, Ed, we're not going to arm the staff of the school. Okay, then what's your plan for single-digit victims? Well, it's not yours. I'll tell you that. Okay, got it. Still love you. We disagree. So tell me your plan. Well, it's not what you want. Okay, but they don't have a plan. All they've got is a problem with the only plan that math shows us has a good chance of getting us low numbers. Go ahead. So that's the cycle we're in. No one wants to talk about the active shooter. No one wants to change their plan when when there's not an attack, because why? It's working perfectly. Every day they don't attack. And then we have a Uvalde or another big attack, and then we go crazy. We wake up, our hair's on fire. The governor's appointing task forces to study it. We're putting candles and teddy bears on trees, fences, and crying during the memorial ceremonies. Politicians are pushing their agendas. The media is covering it 24/7. We're buying a bunch of stuff that won't help, and then we pat ourselves on the back and say, this time we did something, and we go back to sleep, hit the snooze button until the next attack. We've been doing that for 40 years, saying we do things, but nothing that would actually help. Go ahead. So individually, everybody has three options. The federal government for decades, and Alice says, run, hide, fight. Don't like that. I say fight, flee, barricade, and not just to jumble the words around, but fight is the very first thing. There's really only two choices, fight and flee. Barricade is what you do if you don't have a choice. But when I go to schools, their first thing is to barricade. It's like, no, that's the worst thing to do. If you can do one of the other two, do the other two. Fighting is best for humanity, because the quicker somebody fights and stops this guy, the lower the victim count will be. That's better for humanity, a low victim count. Everybody doesn't have to fight, but somebody has to fight. If you cannot fight or will not fight, then flee. Get away. If you're not going to fight evil, then get away from evil as fast as you can by any way necessary. And so again, fight and flee is your two choices. Only barricade if you're unable to do those two things.